How long can a nation survive on shutdown threats and excuses?
Remember, we fight for what's right because it's time to go right.
Welcome to Go Right with Peter Boykin, the constitutionalist for liberty. This is not noise. This is accountability. How long can a nation survive on shutdown threats and excuses? This is not how a republic functions. This is brinkmanship as governance, crisis as culture, powerlessness as power. Stability is not a luxury. It is a prerequisite for freedom. This is Go Right with Peter Boykin!
How long can a nation survive on shutdown threats and excuses? This is hashtag Go Right with Peter Boykin. We have reached a point where shutdowns are no longer failures of leadership. They are features of the system. Think about how absurd this has become. The United States of America, the most powerful constitutional republic on earth, cannot reliably fund itself beyond a few months at a time. Not because the money does not exist, not because the needs are unknown, but because chaos has become politically useful. Every shutdown threat is wrapped in moral language. Every delay is justified as resistance. And every disruption is framed as necessarily paying for a greater cause. But the result is always the same: instability for the public, leverage for politicians, headlines for activists, fundraising emails for everyone involved. Meanwhile, air traffic controllers wonder if they'll get paid. Border agents work under uncertainty. Military families brace for disruption. Small businesses that rely on federal contracts freeze hiring. And states like North Carolina are left hoping the weather cooperates while Washington argues. That's not the place right now, folks. And the public is told this is how democracy works now. Let me remind you, it is not. A functioning constitutional republic plans ahead. It debates priorities, passes budgets, and lives with the consequences of those choices. What we have instead is a permanent state of fiscal limbo where no one is fully accountable because nothing is ever finalized. Shutdowns are no longer just congressional tools. They have become cultural weapons. Calls for nationwide work stoppages, school walkouts, and consumer freezes are openly encouraged as political pressure campaigns. The goal is not persuasion, it is paralysis. If you can halt enough of the system, you can force concessions without ever winning an election or passing a law. And that should concern everyone, regardless of ideology. You cannot run national defense, infrastructure, border enforcement, disaster response, or economic planning on 3-month extensions and emergency patches. You cannot protect civil liberties while governing through constant crisis. And in short-term fixes are not responsible compromises, they are abdications. A 4-year budget framework, at a minimum, serious multi-year funding agreements would not eliminate political conflict, but it would force it into the open. Leaders would have to defend priorities instead of hiding behind deadlines. Voters would be able to judge results instead of rhetoric. The alternative is what we have now: endless standoff, manufactured emergencies, and a nation always one vote away from disruption. A republic cannot run on hashtags, shutdowns, or brinkmanship. Stability is not a luxury. It is a prerequisite for freedom. If we keep kicking the can down the road, eventually there'll be no road left. This is Peter Boykin. This is hashtag Go Right with me, Peter Boykin. You can check us out on GoRightNews.com, GoRightNC.com, and PeterBoykin.com. This is Peter Boykin, and this is hashtag Go Right. You can check us out on GoRightNews.com, PeterBoykin.com, and GoRightNC.com.
Welcome to walk. Nobody marked on a map, where failure wears a strategy cap. Shutdowns aren't cracks in the plan. They are the plan. Chaos sharpened, soul to stand. Traffic controllers counting days, border agents working in a fiscal haze, military families holding breath, small towns frozen by a vote suspense. How long can a nation survive on shutdown threats and excuses? How long can freedom stay alive when crisis becomes the uses? This isn't democracy at work. It's paralyzes by design. A republic can't run on brinkmanship and borrowed time. A constitutional republic doesn't guess. It plans ahead and owns the mess. Debates priorities in the light. Passes budgets, lives with what's right. Instead we live in limbo land. Nothing's settled, nothing stands. No accountability, no final call. Just manufactured emergencies. How the loop install. Shutdowns became cultural weapons. Work stoppages, soul is virtue. Pressure without persuasion. Power without permission. You don't halt a nation to save it. You don't freeze the system to prove a point. You don't govern through hashtags and call it liberty. 3-month extensions, emergency patches, a nation one vote away from disruption. How long can a nation survive on shutdown threats and excuses? You can't defend borders or civil rights inside perpetual abuses. Stability isn't comfort, it's the floor beneath our feet. Kick the can long enough, there's no road left underneath. Short-term fixes aren't compromise, they're abdication. A republic survives on courage, not calculation. This is Go Right with Peter Boykin. And freedom requires stability.
we kicking the can until the lights flicker out? Shutdown politics are breaking the country. America has normalized dysfunction. America has normalized dysfunction. America has normalized brand-ins. They are no longer the accidental result of disagreement. They are deliberate leverage points used by political factions that understand instability itself has become a political tool.
Kicking the can till shut down, till the lights flicker out, dancing through the deadline, while the system counts us down. Kicking the can till shut down, neon lies borrow truth. You can feel the power fading every time they hit postpone.
Whether it is Congress flirting with another funding lapse or activists calling for a so-called national shutdown, the pattern is the same. Short-term disruption is sold as moral urgency, while long-term stability is treated as expendable. This is not governing. It is brinkmanship with the nation's safety economy and credibility.
Kicking the can till shut down, till the lights flicker out. Temporary power plays while the clock keeps running loud. Kicking the can till shut down, every fix just buys a week. We're spinning on extensions while they call it strategy.
For decades, Washington has survived by passing temporary funding measures instead of real budgets. A few weeks here, a few months there. Kick the can, blame the other side, fundraise off the chaos, repeat. Meanwhile, the country drifts without a stable fiscal plan. Federal agencies operate in limbo, and Americans are told to accept uncertainty as the cost of politics. A serious country does not function this way.
Kicking the can till shut down, till the lights flicker out. This isn't crisis anymore. This is how it's done now. Kicking the can till shut down, feel the floor begin to bend. You can't govern by extension. You can't dance around the end.
When Washington blinks, the states pay the price. Federal shutdown games do not stay confined to Washington. They ripple outward, and states like North Carolina absorb the shock first. North Carolina depends on predictable federal coordination during weather extremes, hurricanes, flooding, winter ice storms, heat emergencies, and infrastructure strain do not pause because Congress failed to pass a budget. Emergency managed planning assumes federal continuity, FEMA coordination, disaster reimbursements, transportation funding, coastal protection projects, military base operations, and weather response staffing all rely on the federal government remaining operational. Again. When Washington drifts into shutdown mode, uncertainty places preparedness. Are forced to plan contingencies. Instead of responses, local governments hesitate to activate resources without clarity on reimbursement. Critical infrastructure projects slow or stall federal employees, and contractors across North Carolina face delayed paychecks while still being expected to report for duty. Prepared, not ready. Ready, not funded. In rural and coastal communities, that instability is not theoretical. It affects evacuation planning, storm recovery timelines, and public safety readiness in urban centers. It strains transportation systems, healthcare coordination, and emergency communications.
Prepared, not ready. Ready, not funded.
In rural and coastal communities, that instability is not theoretical. It affects evacuation planning, storm recovery timelines, and public safety readiness in urban centers. It strains transportation systems, healthcare coordination, and emergency communications. The people who feel this most are not political operatives or protest organizers. They are families preparing for storms, small businesses recovering from disasters, and local officials trying to protect their communities with incomplete information. A nation that governs by temporary extensions